Hey everybody, this is Dr. Barnwell and this is Eliana, my helper today.
Hi.
And so if your arm pain keeps coming back, and you're probably making one of 5 mistakes without even knowing it. And here's the thing, it's usually not the stretches that you're doing, it's not your posture, and it's definitely not because you need more treatment. You're being careful, you're avoiding heavy lifting, you may have tried exercises from other YouTube videos, adjust your pillow, stretched your neck, or even cracked it to get some relief, but the pain, numbness, or tingling in your arm still flares up randomly and you can't figure out why. The truth is, once a nerve in your neck is already irritated, the original injury is not the problem anymore. It's the small, repetitive things you do every single day that keep re-irritating it. So in this video, I'm gonna show you 5 daily movements that are quietly making your pinched nerve worse, and why some of the things you think might be helping, like cracking your neck or stretching, are actually backfiring. And at the end, I'll explain why feeling better is often the most dangerous part, and how one single habit can undo weeks of progress in just a few days. Hey, I'm Dr. Paul Barnwell, a chiropractor in Katy, Texas. For more than 10 years, I've helped people get out of pain and return to the life that they want using natural care instead of drugs and surgery. My mission is to help people understand their bodies and build long-term health so they can live with confidence and purpose. If you're dealing with chronic pain, failed treatments, repeated flare-ups, or surgery being recommended without a real plan, this channel's for you. So you deserve clear answers, not necessarily just quick fixes. In this channel, you'll learn what's actually happening inside your body, what actually helps it to heal, and the information most people never hear in a routine doctor's appointment. So subscribe if you want to understand your body better, reclaim your health, and get practical steps you can use right away to move towards a life with less pain and more purpose. I upload a new video every week. So let's get started. Here's what most people don't realize. Once you have a pinched nerve in your neck that's already irritated, your body stops reacting the way it does to normal muscle strain or a stiff neck. The nerve becomes hypersensitive, not just to big movements, heavy lifting, but to pressure, tension, and repetition. Even small things, even things that feel harmless. That's why your arm pain, the numbness and tingling can flare up on a Tuesday afternoon when you didn't do anything wrong. It's not random, it's cumulative, it adds up. There's 5 daily behaviors that quietly keep loading that pinched nerve in your neck and preventing it from ever calming down. And chances are you're doing at least 2 or 3 of them right now without realizing how much they actually matter. Let's start with number 1, and this is probably the biggest one. Okay, number 1, flexing towards the bulging disc. This one is critical. If you already know you have a herniated or bulging disc in your neck, every time you look down at your phone, your laptop, or your lap, you're loading that exact disc that's already putting pressure on the nerve. When the nerve is pinched, flexion isn't neutral anymore. It increases pressure inside the disc, it narrows the space around the nerve and keeps the irritation alive. Here's what happens that's so sneaky. It rarely feels bad at the moment. You look down for a few seconds, nothing happens, no pain, no burning, so you assume it's fine, but those few seconds do add up, and 100 times a day, and the nerve never gets a chance to calm down. That's why your arm pain or your numbness can flare on a Wednesday afternoon when you swear you didn't do anything wrong. Once you realize how often this position shows up, just being careful isn't enough. You have to actively interrupt it. And that brings us to number 2, which is something people do for relief that's actually making the problem worse. So number 2, self-cracking, self-manipulating, or forcefully adjusting your neck. When your neck feels stiff or locked up, there's an urge to crack it, which is almost automatic. You twist, you side bend, you pull up and you hear a pop, and you feel that wave of relief. But with a pinched nerve, that relief is lying to you. So cracking your own neck is not the same thing as a chiropractic adjustment. Self-adjusting or self-manipulation it's uncontrolled and it can be forceful. It creates shearing and compression in the exact segments that are already compromised, especially when a disc is involved. A chiropractic adjustment is specific. It's applied to a precise vertebrae in a controlled direction, and only after a proper exam and imaging. When you randomly twist your own neck, you're missing all of that precision, and in some cases, you're actually creating new irritation on top of the existing problem. What happens next is predictable. You feel better for 20 minutes or so because the air's been released, maybe an hour. Then later that night or the next morning, the arm pain, the numbness, or the burning comes back worse. You got some temporary calm, but also re-irritated the neck in the process. It's like, she said it's like medicine. So short-term relief isn't healing, just like masking the problem. And the same pattern that shows up in the next habit, except this one doesn't even feel like you're doing anything wrong. It happens whether you're sitting at work, driving, or just relaxing at home. Before I get to that, do you want to get adjusted?
Yes.
Awesome. So we're going to adjust Eliana. I've already got her x-rays, and I know what her listings are. She does not have a herniated or bulging disc, and hopefully she never will because she's had chiropractic care since the day she was born. So go on your back for me. And yes, kids get adjusted too.
Babies too.
And babies too. And so she's got a whole story, but we'll save that for another video. And so right here, you ready? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Awesome. Thumbs up. Good adjustment?
Yep.
Awesome. So number 3 is long, uninterrupted sitting or driving. This one catches people off guard because it doesn't feel aggressive at all. You're just sitting. Maybe you're working or at school. Maybe you're driving. You're not lifting anything. You're not twisting. You're being careful. But with a pinched nerve in the neck, static positions matter more than most people realize, especially when there's almost always a bit of flexion or forward head position that's involved. So long, uninterrupted sitting keeps disc pressure elevated and the nerves become sensitized. So when you sit or drive for 30 minutes or an hour, 2 hours without moving, your neck stays under constant compression. There's no unloading phase, no reset. The nerve never gets a break. And here's the thing, you're not just sitting neutral, your head is slightly forward, your neck is slightly flexed, and even if it's subtle, that position loads the disc the entire time. That's why your arm pain, numbness, or tingling shows up after a car ride, after a work day, or after sitting on the couch watching a movie, not during something strenuous, not when you're being reckless, just after sitting still. Most people try to fix this by sitting straighter or bracing their shoulders back. That usually makes it worse. The real issue isn't effort, it's duration. So when you add up how much time your neck spends under steady load every single day, it starts to explain why the next factor, one you rarely feel immediately, can quietly slow your recovery even more. So number 4 is chronic dehydration, believe it or not. This one is easy to overlook because it doesn't come or cause immediate pain, but with a pinched nerve in the neck, hydration directly affects how much space the nerve has. The discs in your cervical spine rely on water to maintain their height and shock absorbing ability. When you're chronically dehydrated, disc height slowly decreases, nerve space narrows, and you don't feel it happen. You also just feel sluggish in general. This doesn't cause a sharp flare at the moment. It shows up as a slower recovery. Some symptoms linger. Arm pain, numbness, and tingling take longer to calm down after a flare. People assume the nerve is just stubborn when in reality the environment around it isn't improving. Stretching, cracking, or changing posture can't compensate for reduced dehydration. And if you're doing everything else right but still not seeing progress, this could be a reason why. So make sure that you're hydrating. Hydration is one of those invisible factors that influence nerve space without announcing itself. And that brings us to the 5th habit, one that actually feels productive but can keep the nerve irritated even longer. Okay, so number 5 is often too much internet advice. When you're dealing with pinched nerves in the neck, it's tempting to try everything: the stretches, the exercise, the traction, the devices, the posture fixes, the nerve glides, the foam rolling, all these different things that you see on YouTube. I put these up too because they can seem reasonable on their own. The problem is that when you stack everything together, or if you're trying everything all at once to see what's going to be the magic pill, it doesn't work out for you because we don't ever give it a chance to relax. And there's so much information out there on these YouTube videos. Like, how many YouTube videos are there?
Too many for me to count.
Exactly. So more than you could ever watch in a lifetime. So Oftentimes it's just doing the very, very simple things and then making sure that you have a length of time to see if it's working. So even the things that you're seeing in this video, by trying to avoid the things that are making it worse is usually the best first step. And then slowly adding in some of the other exercises and stretches, and then being consistent with them to make sure that what happens. Oftentimes you'll start to feel better and you think that that's where we need to stop, when really you've gotten some temporary relief, but the problem's still there and it takes time for the body to heal. So even though it can be a painstaking process of being patient and working through this, you have to stick to a schedule and try the things that are working for a long enough period of time for your body to know what's working. And if you don't have somebody that's actively monitoring your case, it can feel like you're on an island. So obviously if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below and I can try and help you the best I can from remote. But it always helps to have somebody that's actually looking out for you. So too much internet advice can be overwhelming and it can be a bad thing. So just stick with the simple basics. You now know the daily movements that could be aggravating the pinched nerve in your neck. Be mindful of these behaviors and do your best to avoid them so you can give your nerves the time and the space that they really need to calm down and recover. If you found value in this video, like it and share it with someone who is dealing with arm pain, numbness, or tingling and can't figure out why it keeps coming back.
If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. If you liked this video, subscribe.
Awesome. I make a video every week, and so if you want to understand how to make your body function better, reclaim your health, and get practical steps you can use right away, moving towards a life with less pain and more purpose, then that's why you'd want to subscribe. Now, if you're ready to start getting real relief from arm pain caused by the pinched nerve in the neck, go watch this next video where I break down the 7 best exercises for relief for neck and arm nerve pain. Start there.